13 things people used every day in colonial America. 1. Fire buckets. Leather buckets, hung by every colonial front door. They held about 2 to 3 gallons each. During fires, neighbors formed bucket brigades. Full buckets, passed along one line. Empty ones, returned via another. Some towns required each household to own at least one bucket. 2. Salt cellars. Salt cellars were decorative containers for table salt. Families often placed them in the center of the dining table. Salt was expensive in colonial times. A pound could cost a day's wages for a laborer. Seating arrangements were based on the salt cellar position. Sitting above the salt meant higher status. 3. Candles. Colonists made candles from bayberry wax, animal tallow, or whale spermaceti. A typical family used 50 to 100 pounds of candles per year. Candle making was often a fall activity. It coincided with animal slaughtering, which provided tallow. Whale oil candles burned brightest. 4. Whirligigs. Whirligigs were DIY toys. Children made them from buttons or small discs. They used a string about 2 feet long. Kids would pull the string tight. Then they would release it. This action created a satisfying whir and buzz. 5. Warming pans. These were long-handled metal pans. People filled them with hot coals. They used them to pre-warm cold beds. 6. Pomanders. Pomanders were fragrant oranges studded with cloves. Other spices were sometimes added too. A single pomander might contain up to 100 cloves. Colonists hung them in closets or rooms. They freshened the air and repelled insects. Making pomanders was a popular holiday activity. 7. Flails. Flails were agricultural tools for threshing grain. They separated the seeds from the stalks. A flail had 2 wooden sticks. These were connected by a short chain or leather strap. Farmers swung flails rhythmically over grain. A skilled thresher could process about 7 bushels of wheat per day. 8. Trivets. Trivets were metal stands for holding hot irons. Colonists placed them near the hearth. 9. Churns. Churns were tall wooden barrels for making butter. A dash, long stick with a flat end, was used in churning. It was pumped up and down to agitate the cream. This action formed butter. Butter making was a time-consuming chore. It often fell to children or servants. 10. Trenchers. Trenchers were wooden plates. They had a shallow hollow for holding food. Trenchers were often rectangular in shape. 2 diners sometimes shared a single trencher. 11. Samplers. Young ladies often started their first sampler around age 6 or 7. A typical sampler might take months to complete. Girls stitched letters and numbers on samplers. Some families treasured these textiles for generations. The oldest known American sampler dates to 1645. 12. Sugar nippers. Sugar nippers were metal tools for cutting sugar. They resembled large pliers. Sugar was sold in solid cones or blocks. Nippers allowed colonists to portion out small amounts. 13. Foot warmers. Foot warmers were portable heating devices. They were used in homes and carriages. Most were made of tin or brass. They had a wooden frame and a perforated lid. Hot coals were placed inside the metal container